My son smiled. As strangers carried my furniture out of the house I had spent 30 years paying for, he looked me in the eyes and said, "You don't live here anymore." I couldn't understand. How could my own son sell my home? Without my permission? Within an hour, everything I owned was sitting on the sidewalk. I had nowhere to go, no family willing to stand beside me, and the son I had sacrificed everything for never looked back. But exactly 24 hours later, someone knocked on my hotel room door. When I opened it, my son was standing there. His expensive suit was gone. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Mom, please help me," because one forgotten document had destroyed everything he thought he owned. Before I tell you what happened, tell me in the comments, if your own child betrayed you like this, would you forgive them? Now, let me tell you my story. My name is Sarah. I'm 63 years old. For most of my life, I believed that being a good mother meant giving your child everything. So that's exactly what I did. When my husband passed away, I worked 2 jobs to keep our home. I skipped vacations. I wore the same winter coat for nearly 10 years. Every extra dollar went toward raising my only son. Daniel, he was my entire world. When he wanted to attend college, I refinanced my house to pay his tuition. When he wanted to start a business, I emptied my retirement savings. Whenever he failed, I picked him back up. I never asked for anything in return. Not once. As Daniel grew older, he became different. He stopped visiting. His phone calls became shorter. Whenever I asked if everything was okay, he'd simply say, "I'm busy, Mom." I convinced myself it was normal. Successful people are busy, or so I kept telling myself. Then one Friday morning, Daniel called unexpectedly. "Mom, I'm coming over." I smiled. I thought he wanted to spend time with me. Instead, he arrived wearing an expensive suit, accompanied by 2 men I had never seen before. One introduced himself as a real estate agent. The other was a lawyer. A strange feeling settled in my stomach. Daniel sat down across from me. He didn't smile. "Mom, we need to talk about the house." I laughed nervously. "What about it?" He slid a folder across the table. "I've already sold it." I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. There wasn't one. I slowly opened the folder. There was a sales contract, my home's address, a signature. That looked almost exactly like mine, but it wasn't. I looked at Daniel. "I never signed this." He avoided my eyes. "It's too late now. The buyers take possession today." I felt my heart pounding. "Daniel, this is my home." He stood up. "Not anymore." At that exact moment, the doorbell rang. The new owners had arrived. The couple standing at my front door smiled politely. "We're so excited to finally move in." I looked at them, then at my son. My voice barely escaped. "Daniel, tell them the truth." He folded his arms. "The paperwork is finished. This is their house now." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I turned to the buyers. "I never agreed to sell this home." They looked confused. "What do you mean?" I pointed at the contract. "That isn't my signature." The husband slowly looked at Daniel. "Is she telling the truth?" Daniel answered quickly. "My mother is emotional. She's having trouble accepting change." Jessica, my daughter-in-law, stepped forward. "It's been difficult for her, but this is what's best." For a moment, the buyers didn't know who to believe. Then the real estate agent checked her watch. "We need to finish the handover." I quietly walked upstairs, not to pack, but to say goodbye. Every room reminded me of another chapter of my life. Daniel's old bedroom still had baseball trophies on the shelf. The hallway wall still held pencil marks showing how tall he had grown each year. My husband's workshop still smelled like fresh cedar wood. I gently touched his old toolbox. Tears filled my eyes. "I tried, Robert. I really tried." An hour later, everything I owned was sitting on the sidewalk. A neighbor quietly walked over. She whispered, "Sarah, I'm so sorry." I smiled through my tears. "Thank you." She offered me a place to stay. But I shook my head. "I need to think." I picked up my suitcase, called a nearby hotel, and rented the cheapest room they had. That night, I sat alone, looking at an old family photograph. I kept asking myself one question. Where did I lose my son? The following morning, my phone rang. The screen showed one name, Mr. Harrison. Our family lawyer? I answered immediately. Sarah, I've just received copies of the sale documents. Something doesn't look right. My heart began racing. What do you mean? There are legal inconsistencies, and there's something else. I found a document your late husband left in our office. I froze. A document? Yes. He instructed me to give it to you. If anyone ever tried to sell the house without your full consent. I closed my eyes. I had completely forgotten. Years earlier, my husband had prepared legal protection, just in case something like this ever happened. Mr. Harrison spoke calmly. Don't confront Daniel. Come to my office. Bring only one thing. The original house deed. I opened my suitcase. Hidden inside an old family Bible was the original deed, exactly where Robert had placed it years before. I held it tightly. For the first time since losing my home, I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Hope. Little did Daniel know, the sale he thought had made him rich was about to destroy everything he had planned. The next morning, I walked into Mr. Harrison's law office. He had already prepared the conference room. Daniel was there. Jessica sat beside him. The buyers had also been invited. So had the real estate agent. No one understood why. Daniel leaned back confidently. Mom, whatever this is, it's too late. The house has already been sold. I looked at him. I didn't argue. I simply sat down. Mr. Harrison entered carrying a small locked file box. He placed it on the table. Ladies and gentlemen, before this sale can be finalized, there is one document you all need to see. Daniel smiled. This is a waste of time. The lawyer ignored him. He unlocked the box. Inside was an old envelope. Across the front, in my husband's handwriting, were the words, "Open only if someone attempts to sell our family home without Sarah's permission." The room fell silent. Mr. Harrison carefully opened it. Inside were two documents, one handwritten letter and one notarized legal agreement. He began reading. If you're hearing this letter, it means someone has chosen greed over family. Daniel's smile slowly disappeared. Mr. Harrison continued. 5 years ago, Sarah and I transferred this home into the Wilson Family Heritage Trust. Jessica interrupted. What does that mean? The lawyer calmly replied, it means the property cannot legally be sold without the written approval of the trustee. Daniel frowned. And who is the trustee? Mr. Harrison looked directly at me. Mrs. Sarah Wilson. The buyers stared at each other. The bank representative immediately stopped signing the paperwork. So the sale is invalid? Mr. Harrison nodded. It never became legally effective. Then he lifted another document. This forensic handwriting report confirms that Mrs. Wilson's signature on the sale agreement was not genuine. The room froze. The real estate agent whispered, So, this signature was forged? Yes. Daniel looked at Jessica. Jessica looked at the floor. Neither of them spoke. The buyers quietly stood up. The husband sighed. We're withdrawing from the purchase. We don't want a house that comes with someone else's pain. One by one, everyone left the room. Only Daniel, Jessica, me, and Mr. Harrison remained. Daniel's confidence had disappeared. His expensive suit suddenly felt heavy. His hands trembled. He looked at me. For the first time in years, not as someone he could control, but as the mother he had betrayed. His voice cracked. Mom, what happens now? I looked at him calmly. That depends on whether you've learned anything. At that exact moment, Daniel's phone rang. He answered. His face instantly turned white. The bank manager's voice echoed through the speaker. Mr. Wilson, the funds from the sale have been frozen. Your business loan has been canceled, and we're requesting immediate repayment. Daniel slowly lowered the phone. Everything he had built on that illegal sale had collapsed in a single morning, exactly 24 hours after forcing me out of my own home. My son had lost everything. The bank manager's call ended. Daniel slowly lowered his phone. The room was silent. His face had turned pale. Everything he thought he had gained was gone. The money from the sale? Frozen. His business loan? Canceled. His reputation? Destroyed. For the first time, he realized he hadn't just betrayed his mother. He had destroyed his own future. I quietly stood up, picked up my handbag, and walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard Daniel's trembling voice. Mom, please don't leave. I stopped. But I didn't turn around. He took a few slow steps toward me. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I can't undo what I did. But please, give me one chance. I slowly turned to face him. There were tears in his eyes. Real tears. Not because he had lost money, but because he had finally understood what he had lost. That evening, I returned to the small hotel where I had spent the previous night. I was exhausted. Just as I sat down, someone knocked on the door. I opened it. Daniel was standing there. No expensive suit. No luxury watch. No confidence. Just a frightened son. The moment he saw me, he fell to his knees. Mom, I have nowhere to go. My business partners left. The bank closed my accounts. Jessica has gone back to her parents. I've lost everything. He couldn't stop crying. I spent my whole life chasing money and forgot the person who loved me the most. I looked at him for a long moment. Then I remembered something Robert used to say. A parent's heart breaks easily, but it never stops loving. I stepped forward, lifted Daniel to his feet. I'm willing to forgive you, but forgiveness is not the same as trust. Trust must be earned. Daniel nodded. I'll earn it, no matter how long it takes. Over the next several months, Daniel never asked me for money. Instead, he showed up every Saturday morning. He repaired the broken fence, painted the old porch, cleaned Robert's workshop, planted new flowers in the front yard. Sometimes we worked side by side, without saying a word. Little by little, the silence between us became peace. One Sunday evening, I invited Daniel to dinner. After the meal, I placed a small wooden box on the table. Inside were the original house keys. Daniel looked at them, then looked at me. I can't take these. I smiled. They're not a gift. They're a reminder. A house is protected by locks, but a home is protected by love. He closed the box gently. I understand now. I almost traded my family for something money could never buy. A year later, the house was filled with laughter again. The porch had been rebuilt. The garden was blooming. Above the fireplace hung a new family photograph, and beside it, a small framed quote written in Robert's handwriting. Greed builds walls. Love builds homes. Every time Daniel looked at those words, he remembered the day he almost lost everything. Not because of a house, but because he forgot the value of family. As the sun set behind the old oak tree, I realized something important. The greatest inheritance isn't a home, or money, or land. It's the wisdom to choose love over greed. And sometimes, the hardest lesson in life becomes the one that changes us